All righty, church. So here is our devotional for Saturday, March 7th. I've been doing some pre-recording, so again, do not worry about your pastor's lack of changing clothes on the couple of videos. I took the jacket off. I could have taken off the vest, but then I'd had to drop the suspenders, and that would have been a whole. Well, it wouldn't have to drop the suspenders, but did. I digress. So today we come into Proverbs 14, having completed the previous chapter in 3 parts. This is a longer chapter. I'm following Eugene Peterson's break, and we might need to divide up it a little bit more because, yeah, there's several verses that we won't be tackling today that we'll still need to get into. We'll have some commentary for you and then a couple of side notes because, yeah, there's some zingers in it again today. The first zinger when we get to Peterson is going to be the phrase he chooses to entitle the section with. I will offer that our commentator from the New Interpreter's Bible, Raymond Van Leeuwen, chooses to entitle Proverbs 14, 1-35, The Wise Woman Builds Her House. Lovely title, right? So here we go. And this is going to be verses 1-13 for our first portion. The wise woman builds her house, but the foolish tears it down with her own hands. Those who walk uprightly fear the Lord, but the one who is devious in conduct despises him. The talk of fools is a rod for their backs, but the lips of the wise preserve them. Where there are no oxen, there is no grain. Abundant crops come by the strength of the ox. A faithful witness does not lie, but a false witness breathes out lies. A scoffer seeks wisdom in vain, but knowledge is easy for one who understands. Leave the presence of a fool, for there you do not find words of knowledge. It is the wisdom of the clever to understand where they go, but the folly of fools misleads. Fools mock at the guilt offering, but the upright enjoy God's favor. Little pause. That one probably caught you off guard with the guilt offering part, which is a reference to the Old Testament practices related to Yom Kippur and a couple other special occasions too. So we'll get into guilt offering a little bit later. If you've ever run across it, when you have a footnote, it sometimes will give you a message that says meaning of the Hebrew is uncertain. That means there's probably multiple contexts that it's been found in and used in. Verse 10, the heart knows its own bitterness, and no stranger shares its joy. The house of the wicked is destroyed, but the tent of the upright flourishes. There is a way that seems right to a person, but its end is the way to death. Even in laughter, the heart is sad, and the end of joy is grief. Yeah, that section was actually a little more challenging than some of the ones we've had because it is using some Old Testament imagery that might not be immediately apparent to us. I think for Eugene Peterson's contemporary idiom, that's going to fall together a little bit more. And let me share with you a couple of pieces from Van Leeuwen's time of reflections. The saying, the proof is in the pudding, is in the eating. This good phrase, proof of the pudding is in the eating, also applies to faith. True godliness is incompatible with an unjust lifestyle. The same religious logic animates the opening of Psalm 128. Blessed are all who fear the Lord, who walk in his ways. Fearing the Lord entails a just walk. One's relationship to God and one's behavior are two sides of the same coin. The practice of life is not indifferent to religion, for God is not indifferent to the practice of life. On this, the writers of the wisdom literature and the prophets agree. Indeed, daily life is the practice of religion in things ordinary, in contrast to the practice of religion in divine worship. God is the creator and Lord of all things, and our disposal of all things is inextricably related to our disposition towards God. To frame it a slightly different way, faith is a daily practice, not a weekly event. Second portion, Proverbs assumes that human beings are shaped by the company they keep and by the common goals and way of life they share with others. Thus, when God renews the people, they will have one heart and one way. And that's a quote from Jeremiah, who you know I like. Shared commitments animate a people in a common way of life and create communities, some good, some bad. This insight also leaps forth from the beginning of Psalm 1. Blessed are those who do not become increasingly enmeshed, walk, stand, or sit in the company of the wicked. The question of individual identity is always also a question of community, from family and church, school and business, all the way up to nation and state. Communities create the paths we walk. Thank you, Raymond Van Leeuwen. I hope I'm saying his name correctly. I might not be. Now, we come into Peterson, who entitles the opening portion of Proverbs 14, A Way That Leads to Hell. All right, here we go. And again, he's going to be personifying, so we're going to be hearing about Lady Wisdom once again. He does, I'll go ahead and point out, he does an interesting contrast because here he uses Lady Wisdom, and then he says Sir Fool, which is a neat little way to approach that. Lady Wisdom builds a lovely home. Sir Fool comes along and tears it down brick by brick. An honest life shows respect for God. A degenerate life is a slap in his face. Frivolous talk provokes a derisive smile. Wise speech evokes nothing but respect. No cattle, no crops. A good harvest requires a strong ox for the plow. A true witness never lies. A false witness makes a business of it. Good one. A few other good ones coming up. Cynics look high and low for wisdom and never find it. The open-minded find it right on their doorstep. Escape quickly from the company of fools. They're a waste of your time, a waste of your words. Enter here one of my Mark Twain quotes that you have heard and had me use often. Never argue with stupid people. They will drag you down to their level and beat you based on experience. The wisdom of the wise keeps life on track. The foolishness of fools lands them in the ditch. The stupid ridicule right and wrong, but a moral life is a favored life. That line you heard about the guilt offering, which I paused briefly on, that's Peterson's translation of that same thing, just distinguishing between right and wrong. The person who shuns the bitter moments of friends will be an outsider at their celebrations. That verse was also a little more challenging in its original version or context. Lives of careless wrongdoing are tumble down shacks. Holy living builds soaring cathedrals. Another pause there. That's where it talked about tents that flourish versus house. And it's just using that flourishing tent as a soaring cathedral is an interesting word play as well. Our final couple verses. There's a way of life that looks harmless enough. Look again, it leads straight to hell. Sure, those people appear to be having a good time, but all that laughter will end in heartbreak. So that's it for our Saturday devotional. We'll be back with you on Monday as we continue in Proverbs 14. This week for worship, we're actually going to be continuing in the Gospel of Matthew and specifically focusing on the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, in our continued reading and for our sermon time. So enjoy your weekend, and we will catch you either here or someplace else.